Alrighty, Shabbat Shalom, Mr. Bakar, this is Maury Medan, Yahoo Ben Yashrael, and you've just tuned in to another live broadcast of Living Branch Hebrew Assembly. We're continuing our series, Which King Are You? Shaul, Part 6. And it looks like this may be the last part of our Shaul series. But I'll let the Ruach lead me. So we just say Shabbat Shalom and Broker Tov to all of our Mizpachah out there. Appreciate you for tuning in. And let's see, just on, if you would like to get in contact with me, you can email me at info@living-branch.org. And our witnessing website is yahuwah.co. Our main website is living-branch.org. And our auxiliary website is hebrewfoundation.org. So let's pray Ms. Bakar, who's got a little bit of reading to do today. And we'll get started. Baruch Hashem Yahuwah Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Father, thank you for another wonderful day you've made. We ask you, Father, continue to give us insight, wisdom, counsel, fear of Elohim, understanding, memory, recall, the things that we need that are necessary to navigate through this life. We're praying, Father, that you would give us understanding of how to apply the scriptures and how to work out our salvation with fear and trembling. We thank you. We say Todah. We ask you, Father, continue to lift up our Mishpachah out there, those that are still striving to learn. Father, and even those that might have slipped by the wayside, I pray, Father, that you give them a vehicle to pick them up and to help them to navigate and help them to see why you allow things to happen, and that they will be encouraged and run on. Now, Father, as we go into this lesson, we pray that your wisdom, knowledge be with us. And we ask you, Father, just to barak us in the name of Messiah Yahusha, Hallel to Yahuwah. Amen. Amen. All right. So, just a little pre-work is what I call it, that we're going to do. Of course, we go over this one every time that from Bereshit to Genesis 49:27, Benjamin shall raven as a wolf, and in the morning he should devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoils. So, just some things I want you to pay close attention to, some scriptures today as we go through this particular lesson. And Exodus 22:18, thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. Deuteronomy 18, verse 9, when thou art coming to the land which Yahuwah thy Elohim giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that uses divination, or an observer of times, or enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter of familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer, for all that do these things are an abomination unto Yahuwah. Because of these abominations, Yahuwah thy Elohim does drive them out from before thee. So you can see here what's, some of the things that Yahuwah has put in his commandments and told us not to do. Okay, Leviticus 19, verse 31. Regard not them that have familiar spirits, neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. I am Yahuwah your Elohim. Leviticus 20, verse 6. And the soul that turneth after such as have familiar spirits and after wizards to go a whoring after them, I will even set my face against that soul and will cut him off from among the people. Okay, Leviticus chapter 20, verse 27. A man also, or a woman that has a familiar spirit, or that is a wizard, shall surely be put to death. They shall stone them with stones, their blood shall be upon them. So these are all things we need to pay close attention to before going into this lesson. So make sure that as we're going through the lesson, those scriptures that I just read you, that you pay particular attention to. And because it's really going to bring out this lesson. So let's go. We're going to start doing some reading. Okay, and we're starting in the 28th chapter of Samuel, 1 Samuel. Okay, and it came to pass in those days that the Philistines gathered their armies together for warfare to fight with Yashrael. And Achish said unto Daud, Know thou assuredly that thou shalt go out with me to battle, thou and thy men. And Daud said unto Achish, Surely thou shalt know what thy servant can do. And Achish said to Daud, Wherefore shall I make thee keeper of my head forever? Now Samuel was dead, and all of Yashrael had lamented him and buried him in Ramah, even in his own city. And Shaul had put away, now this is interesting that at this particular juncture, it's going to mention what Shaul had done in the land. And Shaul had put away those that had familiar spirits and the wizards out of the land. And the Philistines gathered themselves together and came and pitched in Shunem. Now, see how that just seems like it just comes out of nowhere. This right here, what Shaul has, what he did. So just pay close attention because it's put there for a reason. And Shaul gathered all of Yashrael, and they pitched in Gilboa. And when Shaul saw the host of the Philistines, he was afraid, and his heart greatly trembled. And when Shaul inquired of Yahuwah, Yahuwah answered him not, neither by dream, nor by Urim, nor by prophet. So Yahuwah had determined, Shaul was not pleasing. So no matter how he responded, how he asked, he wasn't going to answer. Because Shaul was doing that which was wicked. During his whole time, he was rejected. Yeah, there was a point in time where Yahuwah would have established his kingdom forever. But because of disobedience, I want you to grab a hold of that word. And I want you to squeeze it real tight. Because obedience is what he's requiring of us. And for us to be in his presence, for us to be pleasing unto him, we have to be obedient. Not our definition of obedience, but his definition. And that's following his statutes and commandments. Then said Shaul unto his servants, Seek me a woman that hath a familiar spirit. Now notice this right here, the translation here. Familiar spirit is just one word. In modern Hebrew would be Ov. Ancient would be Ob. Excuse me. So it's Ob. Now let's look it up. I just want you to see so that you can see what it is. Okay, Ob. Okay, and we talked about this it was one of the series I think I did on Hasatan. A wineskin. Now this really should stick out to you from its hollow sound. So it's comparing the person to a wineskin because what they're doing, they're emptying themselves, so to speak. And spirits are speaking through them. So the spirits occupy them so they can speak through them. So hence, in some places, you'll see the word medium. So they're like a bridge between the spirit world and our world. And those spirits, not good spirits, evil ones, speak through them. So notice it says a ventriloquist, as from a jar. Okay? That I may go to her and inquire of her. And his servant said unto him, behold. Now how did the servant know? Well, we not even going to mess with that. But they knew it. If he put them all away, the servant sure knew where one was. So just make you go, Behold, there is a woman that has a familiar spirit at Endor. And Shaul disguised himself and put on other raiments, and he went, and 2 men with him. And they came to the woman by night, and he said, I pray thee, divine unto me by the familiar spirit. Okay, just letting you see it's the same word there. Ob. And bring him up, whom I shall name unto you. And the woman said unto him, behold, thou knowest that Shaul has done, how he has cut off those that have familiar spirits, and the wizards, and out of the land. Wherefore then layest thou a snare for my life to cause me to die? And Shaul swore to the woman by Yahuwah. Now, help me understand this, Mr. Kai. How you going to swear to the woman by Yahuwah that she's not going to die when Yahuwah said, this type you don't suffer to live? Just a question. As Yahuwah liveth, there shall no punishment happen to thee for this thing. Then said the woman, whom shall I bring up unto thee? And he said, bring me up Samuel. And when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice. And the woman spake to Shaul, saying, why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Shaul the king. And the king said unto her, be not afraid, for thou seest, for what seest thou? And the woman said unto Shaul, I saw Elohim ascending up out of the earth. Okay, now you might wonder why they put gods here. Okay, we'll keep reading, and you can tell me what you think. And he said unto her, what form is he of? And she said, an old man cometh up. He is clothed with a mantle. Okay, so notice that she said, I saw mighty ones of gods ascending up out of the earth. And he said unto her, what form is he? And she said, an old man cometh up. So keep in mind, just in case you didn't know, this word can also be translated as judges too, or magistrates. And remember, that's what Samuel was before. He was a prophet, but he also acted as a judge. He judged Israel before they got a king. And he said unto her, what form is he? And she said, an old man cometh up. He is covered with a mantle. And Shaul perceived that it was Samuel, and he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed himself. And Samuel said to Shaul, why hast thou disturbed me to bring me up? And Shaul answered, I am sore distressed, for the Philistines make war against me. Elohim is departed from me, and answereth me no more, neither by prophet nor by dream. Therefore I have called thee, that thou mayest make known unto me what I should do. Then said Samuel, wherefore then dost thou ask of me, seeing Yahuwah is departed from thee, and is become thy enemy? Interesting. And Yahuwah has done to him as he spake by me. For Yahuwah has rent the kingdom out of thy hand and given it to thy neighbor, even Daud. Because thou obeyest not the voice of Yahuwah, nor executeth his furious wrath upon Amalek. Therefore has Yahuwah done this thing unto thee this day. So he didn't follow Yahuwah's voice. Also, he didn't execute furious wrath upon the Amalekites. Upon Amalek. So it's so important, Ms. Bakar, for us to be obedient. If I could stress anything else in this lesson, it would be obedience. So important. Moreover, Yahuwah will also deliver Israel with thee into the hands of the Philistines. And tomorrow thou and thy son be with me. And Yahuwah also shall deliver the host of Israel to the hands of the Philistines. Now notice, he said that Shaul was going to be with him. Now, this kind of would stir some stuff about people. You're going straight to hell. So what's going to happen here? Shaul's going to be in a state of waiting for the resurrection unto life or the resurrection unto death. Who's going to determine that? The Father will. Okay, verse 20. Then Shaul fell straightway all along on the earth, and was so afraid because of the words of Samuel. And there was no strength in him, for he had eaten no bread all the day, nor all the night. And the woman came unto Shaul, and saw that he was sore troubled, and said unto him, Behold, thy handmaiden has obeyed thy voice, and I have put my life in thy hand, and have hearkened unto thy words which thou spakest unto me. Now therefore I pray thee, hearken thou also unto the word of thy handmaiden, and let me set a morsel of bread before thee. Eat, that thou mayest be strengthened when thou goest on thy way. But he refused and said, I will not eat. But his servants, together with the woman, compelled him. He hearkened unto their voice. So he arose from the earth and sat upon the bed. And the woman had a fat calf in the house, and she hasted and killed it, and took flour and kneaded it, and did bake unleavened bread thereof. And she brought it unto Shaul and before his servants, and they did eat. Then they arose up and went away that night. Man, I would probably been the same way, because Samuel told him, "You're gonna be with me tomorrow." So let's see how this plays out. Now the Philistines gathered together all their armies to Apach, and the Israelites pitched by a fountain which is in Jezreel. And the sovereigns of the Philistines passed on by hundreds and by thousands, but Daud and his men passed on in the reward in Achish. Then said the prince of the Philistines, "What do these Hebrews here?" Oh man, where did that word come from? He said, "What do these Hebrews agree?" Arim. What do they do? What are they doing here? And Achish said unto the prince of the Philistines, "Is not this David, the servant of Shaul, the king of Israel, which has been with me these days and these years, and I have found no fault in him since he fell unto me unto this day?" And the princes of the Philistines were wroth with him, and the princes of the Philistines said unto him, "Make this fellow return, that we may go again to his place, that he may go again to his place, which thou hast appointed him, and let him not go down with us to battle, lest in the battle he be an adversary to us." So they were getting ready to go to battle with Israel. And he realizing that Daud was a Hebrew, that he might get down there and turn on him. But notice how also this is keeping Daud from battle, the same battle that Shaul would be at. So keep that in mind. "For wherewith shall he reconcile himself unto his master, his Adon? Shall it not be with the head of these men? Is not this Daud, of whom they sang one to another in dance, saying, Shaul slew his 1,000, but Daud his 10,000? Then Achish called Daud and said unto him, "Surely, as Yahuwah liveth, thou hast been upright, and thy going out and thy coming in with me in the host is good, a tob, in my sight. For I have not found evil in thee since the day of thy coming unto me unto this day." Nevertheless, they use lords here, but it's serene, and that should be the plural form of sar for princes. And it's figuratively means he's saying his peers. "Wherefore now return and go in peace," or shalom, "that thou displease not the serene of the Philistines." And Daud said unto Achish, "But what have I done, and what hast thou found in thy servant, as long as I have been with thee unto this day, that I may not go and fight against the enemy of my Adon the king?" And Achish answered and said to Daud, "I know that thou art good in my sight, as a Melachim of Elohim, or Elohim. Notwithstanding, the prince or the Tsar of the Philistines have said, he shall not go up with us to battle. Wherefore now rise early in the morning with thy dawn servant that I come with thee, and as soon as you be up early in the morning and have light, depart. So Daud and his men rose up early to depart in the morning to return to the land of the Philistines, and the Philistines went to Jezreel. And it came to pass when Daud and his men were come to Ziklag on the third day, that the Amalekites had invaded the south and Ziklag, and smitten Ziklag and burned it with fire, and had taken women captive that were therein. They slew not any, neither great or small, but carried them away and went on their way. So Daud and his men came to the city, and behold, it was burnt with fire. Their wives and their sons and their daughters were taken captive. Then Daud and the people that were with him lifted up their voices and wept, until they had no more power to weep. Daud's 2 wives were taken captive, Ahinoam, the Jezreelite, and Abigail, the wife of Nabal, the Carmelite. And Daud was greatly distressed, for the people spake of stoning him, because of the soul of all the people was grieved, every man for his son and for his daughters. But Daud encouraged himself in Yahuwah his Elohim, or Elohim. And Daud said unto Abiathar, the priest, the Amhilek son, I pray thee, bring thither the ephod. And Abiathar brought thither the ephod to Daud, and Daud inquired at Yahuwah, saying, shall I pursue after this troop? Shall I overcome them? And he answered him, pursue, for thou shalt surely overtake them, and without fail recover all. So Daud went, he and 600 men that were with him, and came to the brook of Besor, where those that were left behind stayed. But Daud pursued he and 400 men, for 200 abode behind, which were so faint that they could not go over the brook. And they found an Egyptian in the field, and brought him to Daud, and gave him bread, and he did eat. And they made him drink water, and they gave him a piece of a cake of fig, and 2 clusters of raisins. When he had eaten, his spirit came again to him, for he had eaten no bread, nor drunk any water 3 days and 3 nights. And Daud said unto him, to whom belongest thou, and whence art thou come? And he said, I am a young man of Egypt, servant of the Amalekite, and my Adon left me, because 3 days it gone, I fell sick. And he goes on, we made an invasion upon the south of Kiratha, and upon the coast which belongeth to Yehuda, and upon the south of Caleb. We burned Ziklag with fire. And Daud said to him, canst thou bring me down to this company? He said, swear unto me by thy Elohim that thou wilt neither kill me nor deliver me into the hand of my master, and I will bring thee down to this company. And when he had brought him down, behold, they were spread abroad upon the earth, eating, drinking, dancing, because all the great spoils they had taken out of the land of the Philistines and out of the land of Yehudah. And Daud smote them from the twilight even unto the evening of the next day. And there escaped not a man of them, save 400 young men which rode upon camels and fled. And Daud recovered all that the Amalekites had carried away, and Daud rescued his 2 wives, and there was nothing lacking in them, neither small nor great, neither sons nor daughter, neither spoil nor anything that they had taken from them. And Daud recovered all, and Daud took all the flocks and the herds which they drove before those other cattle, and said, This is Daud's spoil. So just a little small note. Notice that Daud inquired. He didn't just go try to rescue him. He inquired of Yahuwah whether he should go, and if he went, if he would get the victory. Okay, and it came, and Daud came to the 200 men which were so faint that they could not follow Daud, whom they had made also to abide at the brook Besor. They went forth to meet Daud and to meet the people that were with him. And when Daud came near the people, he saluted. Then answered all the wicked, now listen to this. Then answered all the wicked men and the men of Belial, and those that went with David, saying, Because they went not with us, we will not give them aught of the spoils that we have recovered, save to every man his wife and his children, that they may lead them away and depart. Then said Daud, You shall not do so. So I want you to just notice here, Miss Bakar, that there were wicked men and sons of Belial, even there with David, that went to capture the thing. And they wanted to, because the 200 men didn't go, were too weak, they wanted to not give them any part. So let's see how Daud handles this. Then said Daud, Ye shall not do so, my brethren, with that which Yahuwah has given us, who has preserved us and delivered the company that came against us into our hands. For who will hearken unto you in this matter? But as his part is that goeth down to the battle, so shall his part be that tarrieth by the stuff. They shall part alike. So you can see why, if this had been Shaul, he would have probably agreed with the wicked men. I'm assuming now. I'm telling you that I'm assuming, just based on his history. But Daud said, okay, they did do a part because we still left our stuff with them. So they kept that safe, so they still gonna get a part of the spoils. And it was so from that day forward that he made it a statute and an ordinance for Yashrael unto this day. And when Daud came to Ziklag, he sent of the spoils unto the elders of Yehudah, even to his friends, saying, Behold, I present a present for you of the spoils of the enemies of Yahuwah. To them which were in Bethel, and to them which were south of Ramoth, and to them that were in Thrill, and they which are in Aror, to them which are in Saphath, and to them which are in Etamia, and to them which are in Rachel, and to them which are in the cities of Yarith, Ma'al, and to them which are in the cities of Canaan, and to them which are in Harmah, and to them which are in Korashim, and to them which are in Athak, and to them which were in Hebron, and to all the places where Daud himself, his men, want to hunt. Okay, now we're at pivotal point here. Now the Philistines fought against Yashrael, and the men of Yashrael fled from before the Philistines, and fell down slain in the Mount Gilboa. And the Philistines followed hard upon Shaul and upon his son. And the Philistines slew Jonathan and Menadad and Al-Kushua, Shaul's sons. So notice all his sons are getting killed here. And the battle went sore against Shaul, and the archers hit him, and he was sore wounded of the archers. Then said Shaul unto his armor bearer, Draw thy sword, and thrust me through therewith, lest those uncircumcised come and thrust me through and abuse me. But his armor bearer would not, for he was sore afraid. Therefore Shaul took a sword and fell upon it. And when his armor bearer saw that Shaul was dead, he likewise fell upon his sword and died with him. So Shaul died, and his 3 sons, and his armor bearer, and all his men that same day together. Wasn't this told? Yes, it was. And when the men of Yashrael that were on the other side of the valley, and they that were on the other side of Jordan, saw that the men of Yashrael fell, and that Shaul and his sons were dead, they forsook the cities and fled, and the Philistines came and dwelt in them. And it came to pass on the morrow that when the Philistines came to strip the slain, they found Shaul and his 3 sons fallen in Mount Gilboa. And they cut off his head, stripped off his armor, and sent into the land of the Philistines round about to publish it in the house of their idols and among the people. And they took his armor into the house of Ashtaroth, and they fastened his body to the wall of Bethshan. And when the inhabitants of Yeshrael Gilead heard of that which the Philistines had done to Shaul, one of the valiant men arose and went all night and took the body of Shaul and the bodies of his sons from the wall of Bethshan and came to Yabesh and burnt them there. And they took their bones and buried them under a tree at Yabesh and fast 7 days. Okay, so did it not happen as it was told him, Samuel, that he brought up using the medium? Did Shaul not die? He did die. And notice that in that verse, some of the pertinent things, the commandments that the Father gave about who you should not be like, and that it was an abomination unto him he violated before his death. And it's something else dealing with familiar spirits and wizards and all those type of entities. That's what the nations do. I can even remember even before I came to the fullness of this truth. I would have friends or people I knew. They would go to palm readers or see somebody with tarot cards, and I'm like, nah, I can't do that. Couldn't do it because I remember reading it in the commandments that that's not one of the things we should be doing. So let this be a lesson of obedience to all of us. And I want you to today, I'm going to give you an assignment. I want you to go sometime during today, for those that will, I want you to write down, what can I do to be more obedient to the Father? What can I do to be more obedient to the Father? What can I do? Now I see Johanna has a question. Is it understood that Samuel was not the one talking, right? Who was it then? Yahuwah, Satan? Well, remember when we were going through the verses, the medium or the witch recognized the one that was coming up as Samuel. So in this particular instance, I believe this was actually, now this is me, I believe this was actually Samuel based on the context of the verse. That this was not a spirit or anything else that was imitating him. Because when you look at the dialogue, all the dialogue is, and also the image that came up, the witch screamed, okay, and she had a fear come upon her because of who it was. So, however the Father chose to do it like this, I don't know, but we can see that if you look at it, it was him, his spirit that came up from the earth. See, and it wasn't an imitation. You know, so that's how I see it from the context. Now, granted, it was an illegal means because it went through illegal source, the medium. So now people can disagree, that's fine. But if you look at, like I said, go back and look at the context of who it was, of who was speaking, what he said, and what he talked about. So for the medium wouldn't have to be afraid. You know, she wouldn't have to scream out and say it's Samuel. She would have known that it was a spirit impersonating him. But in this particular instance, she identified the person as Samuel. So keep in mind, he asked him, why did you wake me out of my sleep or my rest? So you got to put all of that stuff in context. And, you know, um, it's that's just how you have to do it. So go back and read over it. And like I said, it doesn't, whether whether it was a spirit or not, doesn't go one way or another. The whole matter involves that he died just like it was told him. So I just encourage you to go back and to read it, to see. Is it gonna, whether you believe that or not, is it gonna keep you out the kingdom? Don't think so. But I just encourage us to go back and I've heard all the different perspectives of it. Just my conclusion after reading the verse and the context of the verse, that's just what I drew out of it. And by all means, everyone might see something different. And that's fine. But we do know one thing, he wasn't supposed to use that particular source because it was told him, and that's why I gave all of the different verses that were given. Let's see. We'll just go back real quick. Notice what she identified. It said, an old man cometh up. He's covered with a mantle. Okay. And Saul perceived it was Samuel. Now, notice what it says. A spirit wouldn't have to say this. Samuel said to Shaul, why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? See, a spirit wouldn't have to say that if it's impersonating. Then Shaul goes on and tells why, and then Samuel says, wherefore then dost thou ask me, seeing Yahuwah has departed from me? So everything this Samuel is saying lines up with what is actually happening. And it's become your enemy. And Yahuwah has done to him as he spake by me. For Yahuwah has rent the kingdom. Notice how this, it couldn't be an impersonation, but just look at the words that Samuel is speaking here. Spoken by me, for Yahuwah has rent the kingdom out of thy hand and given it to thy neighbor, even Daud, because thou obeyest not the voice of Yahuwah, nor executed his furious wrath upon Amalek. Wherefore Yahuwah has done this thing unto thee this day. So that's why I said, go back and you start looking at what's being said, the context, and how he was identified when he came up. Okay, so but that's my that's my take. So if you got any more questions, email me at info@living-branch.org. So just keep in mind, Yahuwah's power is unlimited. And because remember, reading about some of the prophets, even their bones still had power to heal people. So it's very interesting. So let's pray for humility. All right. Father, in the name of Mashiach Yahushua, we come to you, Father, not even worthy to grace your presence. We humbly bow before you. We ask you, Father, to grant to us the humility that we need for this walk. Because sometimes, Father, people are puffed up and people just think they just have the answer when you are the answer. I pray, Father, you give us wisdom to hear your voice, wisdom to understand your voice, and wisdom to follow your voice. Father, todah for all that you do. Keep us humble, because we know that the meek shall inherit the earth. We already understand, Father, that if we humble ourselves, therefore, to you, and we draw nigh unto you, that you will draw nigh unto us. That you resisted the proud, but you giveth favor or grace unto the humble. Father, we say todah for another lesson. Help us to understand the things that we should do and the things we should not do. Help us. In the name of Messiah Yahushua, be with us. And we just grace your presence once again. Todah, Father. Todah Rabbah. In the name of Messiah Yahushua, Hallel to Yahuwah. Amen. Alrighty, just in case you haven't already or you've been thinking about it, the Hebrew 10 Commandments is still available. It's a training tool for your children. Also, the Hebrew Passover story. So, it's just another tool to help us to learn about the Father, his feast days, and all we should be doing. If you haven't gotten your bookmarkers, get your bookmarkers. Go to www.bm.hebrewfoundation.org and get your bookmarkers today. Great witnessing tool. If you would like to donate to us, please, by all means. You can send it by mail, PayPal, or you can go to our online donation tool, which it looks like this. You can use credit card, debit cards, savings checking account, if the Father puts it in your heart to give and support us. But more, please make sure that you go and send up prayers for us, that the Father will continue to open doors and strengthen us, that we will continue to search for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And we thank you for just being a part and for, letting us come into your homes and into your lives and share the word of Elohim. Keep us in your prayers. And if you have a chance this evening, make sure you go over to the pathtoyahuwah.com. We'll be going there to fellowship today at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and watch the lessons that Mori Lamar Yahu is going to be giving. And, it's going to be a great lesson, great fellowship. So Todah Rabbah for all of my Mishpachah out there.